What a fantastic day of Gaelic football. Actually, we've had Monaghan stay alive. They beat Dublin 313 to 118 with the most dramatic ending to a game. The reaction of Seamus Banty McEnany at the final whistle, giving it the fist pumps in towards the crowd, you could tell how much it meant to them. Dublin, the fact that they died on with their boots on was, at least some sort of a boost. They thought they'd come back from being miles behind, 310 to 13 points after 53 minutes, so down by 6. Then they make a nice bit of a burst, get themselves into a position where they're just kind of chipping away at the lead. They get that penalty then towards the end after Monaghan had just gifted the ball away around the midfield area. And a great run from Larkin O'Dell has been one of the positives in the league this year. He scored a goal the first day against Armagh. And then Rock buries it into the bottom corner, and you're thinking the pressure here on Monaghan. Rory Beggan has to try and get a kick out away, but they do get the ball up the field. Ryan Wiley, he takes a very, very tame shot on when maybe he could have recycled it, maybe to Rory Beggan to have a pop because he'd gone upfield. Then Dublin take it up the other end. Lee Gannon, who was really good and dynamic when he came on the forward line, he was one of the players who got on the score sheet, won a free, the 18th point that Dublin got later, or just a few minutes earlier. He had a shot on his left foot and you'd have backed him to get it, but no, that tailed just a little bit wide. And then a free one by Andrew Woods up at the other end, about 40 yards out. Johnny Cooper was in there, Brian Fenton was in there. Hard to tell who exactly the referee was penalising, but McCarran then with a free from 40 yards out. It was just a fantastic score and knocked it over the bar. And the TG Cahir updates during the day were really good and enjoyable, seeing what was going on. Kildare relegated, they lost to Mayo and lost by a decent few scores. So it was just really, really high entertainment. And you just love if that was the way it was in the championship. Unfortunately, it's not. We have to go with what we have. But I thought with Dublin, some of the issues that they've had throughout the league were there again. And get your comments in and let me know what you think. But gifting away possession, a lot of, there was a couple of times in the first half, I couldn't believe it. James McCarthy at one stage kind of took his eye off the ball a little bit and hand passed it to one of the attackers for Monaghan and ended up giving a free away. That was 15 minutes. Shane Carey ended up knocking it over. But I don't know, maybe just a lapse in concentration or something, gifted the ball away. Kieran Kilkenny had done it a little bit earlier than that, knocked the ball away from himself, obviously trying to give it to one of his own teammates, but just gifted the ball away. Too many times they kicked past it up the field to nobody just for the sweeper to cut out. And you just thought, is it the same Dublin we're going to see again? But that was after they had started the game so well, and they went 4 points to 1 up. They were looking in rude health. But I suppose the signs were there pretty quickly that Monaghan could have a goal threat. And over the course of the game, Monaghan had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goal chances, which in the past isn't really very Dublin against a team that more often than not they've kind of had the Indian sign over them in the last number of years. But Conor McCarthy, he had a chance for a goal early on. He palmed it over the bar, but he had burst past a couple of players to get into scoring zone past Scully, and Johnny Cooper was coming over to try and close the angle. Probably was the right thing to take a point at that stage because he was so surrounded. But the fact that he got into a goal scoring opportunity running straight up the guts was key. Then Sean Jones with a great goal. Again, it was the same thing. He was able to run straight up the guts, right into the middle of the Dublin defence and get a goal. It was a really nice finish. Then the penalty won by Gary Mohan. Kieran Hughes with a beautiful kick pass inside the defence, which allowed Mohan to get through. And McCarran with a beautiful finish there. Interesting with Dublin and their goalkeeping situation at the moment, because with Stephen Cluxton, the greatest of all time, between the posts not being there, there's a battle going on between Evan Comerford and Michael Shields. And in a game that defined whether you'd stay up or go down, the fact that Desi Farrell showed confidence in Shields in such a huge game away from home, that kind of really tells us that he's not overly convinced that Evan Comerford had, guaranteed himself the number 1 jersey if you're putting Shields in such a massive game. So going into the summer, that's a question mark for Dublin. Other question marks that it would include, why is Brian Fenton, one of the generational type player, didn't really get into this game at all. Kieran Kilkenny didn't really get into it. Niall Scully didn't really get into it. And when you're coming away from it, you're wondering who really did stand up and have a great game for them in this. And it's actually kind of hard to say who really did play well for Dublin in this game. Lee Gannon came in and did well. Rock did okay. Costello had some decent spells. But I can't think of too many players that dominated the game for Dublin. And in the past, when they're on the front foot, all the players get an opportunity as they work the ball around from side to side to be that player who's coming on the burst and punch through the opposition team, but not really happening here. Now, I thought Ryan Wiley was hard done by getting 2 yellow cards in the space of a minute or so. More so the second one. I think he'd fouled Lee Gannon, but Gannon made a nice bit of it, and I'm not sure that the referee needed to bite on that. By the way, I thought the referee was very good, Noel Mooney, and he moved up a few frees for Mountain and John and stuff like that, and he didn't take it. I thought he was quite good. But let me know what you think with that. But to be fair to Dublin, the fight that they showed in the game, after McCarron had scored that penalty to make it 2-9 to 8 points, which meant Monaghan started the second half with 1-2 unanswered. They came back and got 3 points in a row straight away, which is, is a sign of a team that's not going to give up. McCarron then got a point, then Lee Gannon got a point, and Gary Mohan had a goal chance, overran the ball. So it was similar enough. He likes to burst into the area, but just the finishing touch isn't quite there just yet. By the way, if Conor McManus was playing, you'd imagine this is a game that he would have filled his boots in. Then when McCarron got the other goal, I mean, we've gotten this far into talking about the game, 6 minutes into it, and we haven't even talked about McCarron's other goal, which was just a beautiful lob. So nice ball kicked in. Michael Fitzsimons ended up on the ground. He looked a bit frustrated, probably wanted a free there. McCarron picked up the ball. At that stage, Michael Shields was in a bit of no man's land, and just a beautiful lofted ball over the top. And when you think of a couple of goals that were scored, Kieran Hughes' kick pass that assisted the penalty that Mohan won, and this finish here, there is some quality in this Monaghan team, and some of these players are just beautiful kick passers and score takers, and Hughes and McCarron would be a part of that. And obviously the McCarron winners late on again would sort of feed into that. But as I said, it was 3-10 to 13 points, and for the remainder of the game, Dublin won by 1-5 to 3 points. So they didn't give up. So there's definitely a lot of steel and metal still in this Dublin team. It's definitely a little bit disjointed. The key men are not getting on the ball the way they used to go. They did start the game well, and they were making life difficult for Rory Beggan when he was trying to take kickouts. He was forced long. Monaghan were losing ball, but once Monaghan adjusted and upped the intensity and started running at them, they took over the game. So is this a good sign for Dublin that they're showing the fight, or that they've lost a tight game again? Even going back to last year against Mayo, and they're going down to Division 2 and they haven't been there for a long time. And I think that's a huge encouragement for everyone else in Leinster, even though Kildare have gone down too. But just the thought that Dublin are no longer infallible, and I suppose we all thought maybe Dublin would find a way of getting out of this, but they haven't. Just a message in here from Joe 18 Ken saying, serious balls to hit that last free. The GA red zone that TG Cahir do is brilliant. It really is. If you want to get any more of the match reports that we have over the weekend, go to patreon.com/OurGame. For example, there you'll find a match report from Cork and their great win over Kilkenny in the league semi-final.